Houston, Texas, 655 square miles, big enough to fit San Francisco, New York City, and Boston. We have jobs. Houston leads the country for job creation in the U.S. by a lot. The city is home to more Fortune 500 company headquarters than anywhere in America except New York. A paycheck goes farther here than any other major metropolitan area. You can say that Houston responds to the call of duty. Houston is the second largest provider city for the all-volunteer military in America. Of some 6.7 million metropolitan residents, more than 300,000 veterans call the greater Houston area home. And like the military, this great city is a demographic melting pot of cultures and people. The veterans here reach out and take care of each other, and the community embraces them. This is service after service. These are Houston's empowering arms. Hello, I'm Len Cannon, and I'm honored to bring you this amazing tribute to veterans serving veterans in Houston. Thank you for joining us to experience this city's true embrace, our empowering arms. Military affairs have dramatically shaped the history of Houston. Even the city's founding was on the heels of the Texas Revolution, when in August of 1836, John Kirby Allen and Augustus Chapman Allen purchased 2,200 acres for $5,000. We're standing at the Heritage Society on the western edge of downtown. And at this very site, today is a history museum in the city's oldest municipal park. It was home to one of the first military hospitals in Texas. In fact, it was here that some of the veterans of the Battle of San Jacinto received medical care. Our economy survived the blockades of the Civil War, even before we were known as an oil town. Today, we are the city of new ideas, and we are shaping the new landscape as a shining beacon of hope to veterans in Texas. Veterans in Houston come for three things: the stability, the friendliness, and the veterans already here.
I love so many things about Houston, but one of the things I love most here is the community of veterans. We were one of many organizations that worked together to make sure Houston would be ready when the drawdown in troops occurred back in 2007 and 2008. Mayor White had said, you know, they're coming to Houston. We have a great job market here. We have affordable cost of living, a lot of good educational systems for those GI benefits, and people will come. So are we ready?
As our military began to reintegrate back into civilian life, the state began studying the more prevalent issues, such as the occurrence of post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, substance abuse problems, and family matters. These topics are largely undiscussed nationwide, but this is Houston, where we have a proud history of improving the care and treatment of people through education and advocacy.
Mental Health America was founded 63 years ago by Miss Ima Hogg to be a voice for people who at that time had very little voice. So it's really a natural for us to work in the Veterans Treatment Courts. What we do as part of our mentoring program is bring resources into the court docket.
2004 was when I became district court judge. And at that time, the landscape started to change. I wasn't seeing just Vietnam-era veterans, but I was starting to see young people, men and women, that were coming into the criminal justice system. Some years go by, and in 2008, a buddy of mine named Pat McCann, he's a criminal defense lawyer, a Navy veteran, informed me about a program in New York, and it was a veterans court.
It wasn't an easy slug to get it done.
It was quite contentious. Harris County was the first to develop a veterans court in Texas. Now we have probably about 25 veterans courts in the state. 33. What we try to do with their veterans court is to make sure that all veterans know that there are people just like them with the same experiences that can help them cope. And one of the major aspects that have come out of that is our mentor program that we have. They go through a rigorous training at Mental Health America that prepares them for the kinds of issues that they might see in our veteran population.
Our Veterans Court Advocacy Mentoring Program, also known as VCAMP, is a great statewide training component that we offer here at Mental Health America. The idea is to give everyday veterans who want to mentor in the court tools to be a successful mentor. They're able to take those tools back and implement new programs and projects within their local courts.
These are not men and women who are perfect and giving you all of the keys to their perfection. These are folks who have been muddied up a little bit themselves.
I graduated from knucklehead school. I had to do it the hard way. I'm now a mentor. I'm a volunteer. I go back into prisons. The idea is to help these mentees to navigate the system so they can meet the goals of the probation.
We're not going to be counselors. We're not going to be psychiatrists. We're going to be more like big brothers and sisters in the whole process.
It was a natural fit. I don't know everything that every warrior has been through personally, but I've had my own battles, and this battle right here of Veterans Court and getting my life back, I just completed that program, and so why not plug right back in and help my fellow man? When we offer ourselves to become available for others, that's when God can use us.
Empowering Arms is brought to you in part by the Heritage Society. For the past 10 years, Houston has been quickly evolving into the best city in America for military veterans and their families. While they are brimming with international experience, technical skills, leadership, and real-world sense, 1 in 3 returning veterans are being diagnosed with serious post-traumatic stress symptoms. Less than 40% will seek help. Through grassroots networks and word of mouth, our community has risen to the challenge and brought revolutionary therapy options and support to veterans suffering from the invisible wounds of war.
I got to Iraq in December of '07, and I got blown up by an IED in July of 2008. And so that knocked me out of the fight about halfway through my deployment. I was being prescribed a lot of painkillers for the wounds that I had sustained, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. I used to hear about Camp Hope on the radio all the time, but whenever I heard it on the radio, I thought, oh, I don't need any place like Camp Hope. But I was in denial. I didn't think I needed help from anybody except me.
I wanted to push everybody away because I didn't want them to know how deep I hurt inside. I didn't want people to see the ugly side of me. About 3 weeks into my insanity, I had overdosed and went into the hospital. And my friend asked me simply, "Are you ready to get help?"
PTSD does several things, but among them is the isolationism. It causes them to withdraw from society, to withdraw from family, people that they're closest to. Gene Birdwell, businessman here in Houston, had heard about the statistics of PTSD in our military. And the more he heard about that, the more he realized, man, we've got to do something about this. 5 years ago, we opened up Camp Hope, which is the housing portion of what we do. We bring in teaching for emotional regulation, anger management. It's really everything in your life. It's not easy, it's not quick, but we also partner with licensed professional counselors that all of our staff, all of our residents see on a weekly basis.
The guys work out of a combat trauma healing manual that talks about the moral injuries of PTSD to find spiritual solutions to their issues. It's that whole connection and that bond that really bring these guys out of their darkness and say, I'm not alone.
The very first night I got here was warrior group night, and to go in and just hear everybody's stories and the way they were talking just openly about everything that I've kept hidden from everybody for all these years and stuff like that, it was pretty amazing.
Sharing your story is a way of spreading knowledge to people that you might not think you're helping at all. But the truth of the matter is that, your story could end up saving someone else's life.
I came here on a Tuesday and I sat in my first group, and some of the guys were sharing their stories. At that moment, I realized I was alone with this fight. Trying to talk to my friends. I went off to a war, they went off to college, and me telling some of my war stories, and I think it's super awesome. Some aspects it is, and the other aspects, the deeper issues that come along with going to war. Coming here and be able to express that to people who actually understand is relieving. One veteran helping another veteran, like we get it, from one person who understands to another person who understands is where really the healing comes from.
I think for anyone that's experienced a complete life change, whatever form that may come in, there's a natural desire to sort of repay that or pay it forward. There's something very therapeutic about it. So for our vets that come through our program, many of them want to find a way to turn around and help the next veteran come home.
What I found here at Camp Hope was brotherhood. What I found at Camp Hope was connection. And I can only say that through the mentors and the people that were working here that I was able to say, you know what, I want what they have. I realized that if someone didn't help me, I can't help anybody else. So if we can just help one person, you know, this thing will multiply. It's a force multiplier.
Camp Hope really put the mirror in front of my face. Finally, for the first time in my life, that I unconditionally and unapologetically actually love myself.
While it's disappointing to me that it's the only place in the country like this, it's very inspiring to me that it's happening here in Houston, Texas. Our entire city ought to be proud of the fact that Camp Hope exists right here in Houston.
PTSD has been known by many names, such as shell shock and combat fatigue. But PTSD does not just happen to combat veterans. It can happen to anyone in the wake of a traumatic event. The symptoms interfere with everyday activities, work, and relationships. While inpatient therapy like that provided at Camp Hope is essential to the recovery of some, outpatient options have become available to offer hope on the road to recovery.
PTSD is a soul wounding. It's a wounding morally, and to be able to help people see it clearly is very therapeutic for me because it makes me realize that God has a plan for me. That plan, I feel, is to help others, to bring them to Christ, to bring them the hope and the healing that I've been able to receive through Him. I've never been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress, but through my childhood and events that have happened, I suffer from it. And it led me to living a lifestyle that was not very productive. In 2009, I got into an altercation with some guys and ended up getting run over in the parking lot. It was all because of that lifestyle, that will to just feed the flesh and never to try to get to the root of what was going on because it's painful to know the truth.
Gary found that once the healing begins, life can continue in a positive way. Through a collaborative partnership with several organizations, CS Ministries began offering its services to provide the follow-on care for those veterans seeking continued counseling, education, and fellowship. He embarked on a mission of compassion, and he calls the program Grace.
What is grace? Well, defined as something that you get that you don't deserve. For CS Ministries, the Grace Program Scholarship pays for 12 weeks of intensive counseling at the Refuge Trauma Treatment Center here in Conroe, or if they don't want talk therapy, they can go to Henry's Home Horse Sanctuary, which was equine therapy, at no cost to them. What we're doing here is working. We're seeing tremendous success with those guys that stick with it. There's no cure for post-traumatic stress, but there is hope, and there's recovery in it. You can find recovery if you look in the right place. And for us, that right place is in Christ.
I was in the Army for 11 years, and I was a truck driver in the Army and worked transportation. I thought that the transition was going to be easy, and soon found out that it was not, that civilian life tends to be a little bit complicated. Even though I got out as a staff sergeant, I found myself unemployed. I decided to move to Houston because of the generosity in Houston with the veterans community, and I started job searching, and it got rough.
Women are a vital part of the armed forces and the community of veterans. The number of women who serve has increased dramatically in recent years. Yet the services they need upon returning home are not keeping up with the unprecedented demand. To combat this, one Houston businesswoman is making an impact on the fate of our women veterans by providing them a unique networking opportunity with other women facing similar challenges.
I read an article in the Wall Street Journal comparing male and female vets and the difference between them. One of the things that came up was that male veterans seem to keep their buddies around them and still connect. But the article said that oftentimes female vets, sometimes they're single moms, more often than not they're out in the suburbs when they come back. Isolation is their biggest challenge. Unfortunately, when our military veterans look for a job and don't find a job, they quickly fall to what's near our poverty rate. Most of the time, women can interview for the job depending on the clothes that they own. If we could get women looking the part and continuing to have a culture where these women are empowered to help other women, it doesn't get any better. So when I read the article, I thought, this is where Dress for Success could fit in. So I went to the board and I said, this is a program I'd like to start for female vets. I mean, we've got to have this in Houston.
I interviewed with Nancy, and she said, you know what, Alicia, I really want a veterans program, and you're a veteran, and I want you to head up our veterans program. We have over 20 veteran service organizations in the Houston area that refer women to us. When I have our female veterans with us on our veteran service days, those are the days that we bring out female veterans and we serve just them. Being at Dress for Success Houston, that is the #1 thing that our female vets receive from us, is just that network of support to know that somebody says, I've been there before and I got your back.
The idea that we could then harness this power of female veterans who land jobs and they come back and they're a part of the professional women's group, that's going to really beef up the effect and the impact of what the PWG can do.
I am such an advocate for the professional women's group because they fill the gap in a lot of things that you may not be taught. They're such a welcoming group of women here. I've never felt like an outsider, not even from the first day I walked through the door. We all just talk and we become like sisters. I meet people I would never have met.
At the very beginning, what the Professional Women's Group offered our clients was really basic do's and don'ts of the workplace. And over 19 years, because of the input from our clients, we've expanded that to include financial literacy, legal literacy, health and wellness, a mentoring program.
Dress for Success enabled me to get connected with other resources that has helped me out with housing, food, and getting advocates to help find jobs. It's like a whole new world.
For me, right now, for the future, really, it is the expansion of the Veterans Program. Continuing to have a culture where these women are empowered to help other women doesn't get any better.
Despite declines in unemployment, those transitioning from military service to the civilian workforce face some challenges. Looking for a hardworking, motivated, ethical employee? Try hiring a veteran. IBEW knows hiring veterans is not only a good idea, it's good business.
I have a personal place in my heart for veterans because of what they do. That's disheartening to me, to think that people went out and served their country and then they come back and somewhat they feel left out. They don't have jobs, they don't have homes. So I felt it was important we do everything we can to help our veterans at least get back into life, get jobs, be able to provide for their families after serving our country.
I had a job waiting for me when I got back, but unfortunately it was in retail. So it was like a dead end. I just made a decision one day and I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. It's not being able to provide for my family and not being able to know where my next step is going to be. I had no idea that I wanted to be an electrician. I had a spark that said, this is what I want to do, but I didn't know any way to pursue it.
I was still nervous leaving the military because I didn't know what to expect. Started researching and IBEW popped up. The bullets were like dead on as far as being related to the military, how it's a brotherhood.
The IBEW is the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. It's an electrical union where we train and educate electricians for our employers that are signatory to our contract. The IBEW has a couple of programs that we try to funnel veterans to our program. The Helmets to Hard Hats program helps us get the right person to our trade that actually wants to be an electrician.
Well, I love it. I've helped build the University of Houston Cougar football stadium. Every time I drive past there, I can say I helped build that. Working on the job, I've learned a lot from a lot of different journeymen that have been in the trade for a long time.
As soon as I become a journeyman, I can go to any contractor I want, tell them, I have this much experience, I've done this many jobs, and it's all on paper.
I've worked at a lot of different locals. I'm so proud to be from Houston. The diversity is like nothing else, anywhere else that I've seen.
Veterans make excellent employees. Our product is about being professional, showing up, doing our jobs, having integrity, and taking care of each other. What better example than a veteran?
To be able to have that bond, military and IBEW at the same time is great. For me, it's a veteran helping veterans. It's good stuff.
I've seen something come together over years here. It's an organization called Combined Arms. And now a number of veteran serving organizations are under one roof.
Veterans can go to Combined Arms, they'll be interviewed, they'll do an assessment, then they'll be able to tell them, hey, look, these opportunities are out there for you, these organizations are legitimate and they can help you.
These programs are a group of vets serving other vets. This is a local organization. They're right here in Houston, Harris County. You can Google them. You can find them. Go to Combined Arms. Let them get you into the system and get you the help you need.
We see the post 9/11 veteran coming back and continuing to serve. They work, they go to school, but they volunteer with one of these veteran serving organizations.
I volunteer everywhere. Houston is really nice because you have a really good group of veteran service organizations. Veterans just really work well for me. It's a whole lingo. It's a trust. I know who has my six.
Grassroots program, community-driven programs like the PTSD Foundation of America and Camp Hope and other great organizations across the country that truly do want to help veterans have got to continue to rise up. We've got to do a better job of helping our veterans know that we do love you, we do appreciate you, we do support you, we do want to help you. And it's more than just a bumper sticker on the back of the car.
So to see all this come about in the last few years and the positive things that have occurred, it's just really fun and a happy thing to be part of something so positive.
Houston welcomes new veterans to our community. We can't wait to meet you. For veterans watching now, consider giving some time to your brothers and sisters. Volunteering, especially with other veterans, has a positive impact on the self-esteem, motivation, and readjustment of those returning home from duty. For more information on how to volunteer, go to our website, khou.com/empoweringarms. On behalf of IBEW 716 and KHOU 11, thank you for watching. I'm Len Cannon, and it has been an honor sharing these stories with you. And good night.